Good afternoon. I'm going to start with Community College of Philadelphia.
Is it honorary? Yes.
Hello, hello.
Please proceed.
Okay.
Folks, I can ask you, please keep your conversation down a little, please, or go outside. Thank you.
Good morning, Council President Clark and Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you regarding the future of Community College of Philadelphia. My name is Jeremiah White Jr., and I am Chairman of the Community College of Philadelphia Board of Trustees and Chief Executive Officer of White & Associates. Joining me today are two board members, Sheila Ireland and Harold Epps. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to thank you for your support of Community College during this last year. And special thanks to Councilman O, who held a crucial hearing on the college's funding formula, and to Councilwoman Shania Parker, a relentless champion of Power Up Your Business, our initiative which strengthens entrepreneurship in the city's vital commercial corridors. My colleagues and I are not simply guiding and supporting the city's college. Rather, we are working to make higher education the great state equalizer by widening the range of career opportunities available to residents across the city. While Greater Philadelphia is home to more than 100 colleges and universities, CCP is unique. Unique first because it is the only public educational institution in the city of Philadelphia, higher ed, and second because it offers career credentials as well as stackable credentials that can turn the unemployed into a sought-after job prospects. We are a key player in the development and implementation of the city's new workforce strategy, working alongside our many public and private partners in our training programs, help the unemployed and underemployed create career pathways and can take them from a job to pathways. Since his arrival almost 5 years ago, Dr. Generals has emphasized the value of shared learning among faculty, staff, and students. He has worked to increase student persistence and credential completion rates. With additional funds from the city, the college can do so much more to create accelerated learning and career paths and reduce achievement. In addition, I'd just like to say we have a tremendous faculty, and without the faculty and the staff of the college, we could not do what we do, especially as it relates to positioning ourselves to be the city's College of Philadelphia. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, President Clark. My name is Guy Generals. I'm the president of Community College of Philadelphia. I want to thank you for this opportunity for us to advocate for our budget request. I'd like to begin by acknowledging our faculty and staff who've come out here to support this effort. And I'd like to also acknowledge we have a number of students who I believe through their testimony can best demonstrate the importance of the education and the training that we provide. We are asking for $35.4 million. Our budget request is a $35.4 million request, which is $3 million over last year's request. Those dollars specifically will be targeted towards, 1.25 will be targeted towards our workforce initiatives to continue to expand and to align with the city's talent pipeline initiative. $850,000 will go towards dual enrollment and $900,000 towards our debt service. We also want to continue to expand our faculty support and our advisors support. Over the last 3 years. We've hired 11 full-time faculty. We continue to we've hired 11 full-time faculty advisors. We continue to replace faculty as they retired. We've invested $7.2 million in new science labs. We have supported 928 students through our Promise Scholarship. Those are students who receive full funding for tuition and fees upon graduating from high school. Those dollars were supported, that program is supported primarily by private dollars. As you know, Philadelphia has introduced the first middle college program in the Commonwealth. The initial students that started that program will be rising juniors as we speak. In another year and a half, they will complete high school as well as an associate's degree. Our workforce and our full-time faculty has improved both teaching and non-teaching from 25.3 to 31.7%. We have a number of civic engagement activities at the college, and I have a student here that will speak to one of them, specifically designed to help students with food insecurity and some of the more social economic issues that they're dealing with. And we are also embarking upon a $16 million project to renovate our library and advance it towards what we refer to as a library commons. I can answer questions, but if you allow, I'd like for our students to speak. I think they're an example in 2 cases of our dual enrollment program. And as I mentioned, one of our students is here to speak about the hunger insecurities or the food insecurities that our students experience and what our students are doing as leaders in trying to address that problem.
And the only reason I'm hesitating because
We have 4 students.
I don't want to be in a position where folks who are here who may not agree with your perspective or the student's perspective will not be able to testify. Traditionally, it is the department or the particular organization that comes in for its budget. But I'm gonna allow it. I'm just saying, I don't believe in being fair.
I don't think there'll be anyone in this room who will find any problems with some of the students. So, if I may, Wanda Kleinfelter is an alumna who in a few weeks will graduate from the University of Pennsylvania. Her story is quite remarkable. And I think it's representative of the many students that. So Wanda, we have a brother and sister team, so it's kind of tough to ask one without the other. And then we have Asia, who is a graduating student this year.
How many? What did we have? 3?
4.
4. Why don't you just bring them all up to the table?
You want them up to the table?
Yes, please.
Hello.
How are you?
My name is Wanda Kleinfelter, y con mucho orgullo, I am a 2015 Community College of Philadelphia alumni. Today I want to tell you about my experiences as a non-traditional student in a scholarly world and how CCP has helped shape that vision. So if you take away one thing from this speech, remember this. Given that I'm a Latina American raised in Philadelphia, I am astonished by the following statistics. According to a recent report, the U.S. Census Bureau estimates that 64.7% of the Latino community take up residence in Philadelphia. Based on this number alone, 33.3% of Latina women lack a high school education, while only 14.5% have succeeded in graduating from college. This is important because I stand here as an example to this group, not only as a previous high school dropout, but now a succeeding college graduate. I must say that this gap between high school dropouts and college graduates does not stem from lack of ambition or dreams, but often derives from poverty and social disadvantages. Even though great efforts have been made to close these gaps, educational disparities still exist for all minority groups. North Philly, as many consider the Badlands of Philadelphia, had its disadvantages growing up. With these disadvantages came costly decisions, which forced most to hustle at whatever cost, or like me, work in dead-end jobs. This kind of survival is hard, and despite major life challenges such as losing friends to the streets, drugs, alcohol, and watching my ancestors struggle because of the lack of education and broken dreams that couldn't change this vicious cycle, was just as hard. And this is just one of the many realizations that I had to experience. And because of these factors, I felt that I needed to step up my game and be one of the faces for my daughter and for our future generation. Without my relationship with the Community College of Philadelphia, my path to possibilities and future pursuits would have fallen to the wayside. What works is that CCP looks beyond these barriers and fosters an environment where all groups can start or continue their educational path. CCP has not only accepted my non-traditional background, but they also helped me polish my skills and challenged me to immerse my truth into a worldwide perspective. With this, I walked away with a newfound confidence, which I used to apply to one of the top Ivy League schools in this country and the 10th hardest school for academia. CCP is a village of support. Not only do they help develop your skills by having a diverse faculty that tailors to meet the cultural differences in Philly, but also make educational pursuits affordable. Now, to conclude, my extraordinary journey is far from over. As I walk away from this platform, it was supposed to be a platform, but, and become a graduate from the University of Pennsylvania with honors next month, I challenge this group to change the statistics, not only for the Latino community, but for all Philadelphia students who deserve an equal chance to learn and prosper in their educational pursuits, whether they be traditional or non-traditional. And again, gracias. Thank you for listening to one of the voices of our beloved city. And thank you, Dr. Generals and the Community College of Philadelphia, for always involving me in the college's mission. Thanks.
Thank you, President Clark and members of City Council, for allowing me to speak today and consider my testimony on the very important issue of considering the mayor's recommendation that the city provide additional support for the dual enrollment program, which I was a part of. I'm Juwan Z Bennett. I'm a native of South Philadelphia and a proud product of the Philadelphia School District. Should I bring this down, Lauren? Thank you. I just want to tell you a little bit about my journey. When I was 15 years old, I began college to study criminal justice while still in high school. By the time I completed high school, I had earned an associate's degree in criminal justice while being on the Dean's List multiple semesters, a Philadelphia Equals Top Scholar, and being inducted into the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. When I turned 20 years old, I completed my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, where I graduated magna cum laude from Temple University, was on the Dean's List multiple semesters as well, a College of Liberal Arts Dean Scholar, and won the two highest prestigious awards an undergraduate could receive at Temple University, which is the Temple University Criminal Justice Faculty Award and the Diamond Award. They only give out 10 in the student body of 30,000, all while graduating in the top 16% of my class. To add to these academic accolades, before I graduated with my degree in criminal justice, I applied to and was accepted to all of the top-ranked PhD programs in criminal justice in the nation, including Northwestern University, Rutgers Newark, the University of Delaware, and Temple University, to name a few, and was placed on the Ford Foundation's pre-doctoral fellowship honorable mention list, all at the age of 20 years old. Currently, I'm a fifth-year PhD student and professor of instruction in the Criminal Justice Department at Temple University, where I have published in top peer-reviewed journals in my field. I'm engaged in high-level research, which I have presented around the world, and oversee one of the premier mentoring programs, the Urban Youth Leadership Academy in the College of Education. And I'm only 25 years old. I will complete my PhD in criminal justice this year, making me one of the youngest and only the second black male to complete the degree in Temple University's history. I say this not just to brag about myself, but to echo the sentiments of the old proverb that states that we should give credit to whom credit is due. I would like to give credit to do such thing this morning and to proudly submit that all of my accomplishments, successes, awards, and accolades should be credited to one thing and one thing only, which is the dual enrollment program at the Community College of Philadelphia, which changed the trajectory of my life tremendously. Dual enrollment not only changed my life, it prepared me for life, but it also saved my life. Growing up in 26 in Tasker, I had to face much adversity to get where I'm here, violence, poverty, gun violence, and parents who were not college educated. I remember when I finished my associate's degree, actually my high school teammate was murdered in a drive-by shooting the same day he accepted his college acceptance letter. But the dual enrollment program gave me the opportunity to utilize education as a way out of my circumstances outside of sports or music. And by participating specifically in the dual enrollment program while in high school, when I got to Temple University, I automatically qualified for the McNair Scholars Program, which helps you underrepresented students gain access to PhD programs. If I did not was a part of dual enrollment, I would not have been eligible for 2 years. And the reason why that is important, because after I was accepted to the program, I was the last cohort, the funding no longer existed for future students. To conclude, I would urge City Council to follow the mayor's recommendation. Currently, it's no surprise that we are facing a serious violence problem here in the city of Philadelphia. And criminologists often states that the best prevention to this is education. So by investing money in dual enrollment, it's just not funding the students, but also the community as a whole. The dual enrollment program not only changed my life, but inspired me to help others along the way to lift as I climb, and allowed me to model for other students that education is a powerful tool to make it out some of life's trying circumstances. And this is my little sister right here, and she followed in my footsteps. To me, providing more support to the dual enrollment program signals a message to all Philadelphia students that it doesn't matter what your social economic status is, if your parents graduated from high school, or even if you're a first-generation college student, that if you're presented with the opportunity, you don't have to be a product of the things that you're surrounded by, but you can take that opportunity to dream wide and far as you can imagine to accomplish anything in life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Good afternoon. It is an honor to testify this morning on behalf of Community College of Philadelphia in regards to the dual enrollment Advanced to College program. Community College of Philadelphia is the pathway to possibilities.
Just state your name for the record.
Oh, my name is Shania Bennett.
Thank you.
My name is Shania Bennett. As a 15-year-old high school freshman and first-year college student at Community College of Philadelphia, I remember the words of inspiration imparted to me by a faculty administrator at the college to not only follow the path to possibilities, but to blaze the trail. That moment profoundly changed the whole course of my young life, not only as a dual enrollment student, but as the first female in my family to ever sit in a college classroom. To blaze the trail for 4 consecutive semesters as a criminal justice major, I was a Dean's List academic honor student. I was also elected by the student body to serve as the college's youngest student representative for 2 full terms. Dual enrollment afforded me the opportunity to take 3 classes per semester, a total of 9 credits, with course material provided of no expense of my own. Taking footsteps on the path of possibilities for me gradually cultivated blazing the trail into a habit. During my senior year of high school and sophomore year of the college at CCP, I was accepted into 27 colleges and universities to further my education and pursue a bachelor's degree. 10 of those colleges being 10 of the partnership schools in regards to the admissions process that CCP is partnered with. Upon completion of the dual enrollment program this past June, I graduated high school from the School District of Philadelphia as a college sophomore at only 18 years old. Having the opportunity to attend Community College of Philadelphia as an inner city high school student has not only equipped me to achieve and succeed in the world of academia, but how to achieve and embody what it means to blaze the trail in every aspect of my life. Inspired to blaze the trail and to be the change I wanted to see in the world, I decided that I would start in my community in South Philadelphia. In efforts to seek an effective means of violence, prevention and intervention, in 2016, with the help of Community College of Philadelphia and community peers, I founded Reach for Peace, which is a nonviolence peace initiative that immediately strives to reduce and prevent gun violence among youth and young adults. Now at 19 years old, I am a junior at Pennsylvania State University studying criminology, expected to graduate in May 2020, and also the youngest elected committee woman in the history of the city of Philadelphia. So today, a product of Community College of Philadelphia dual enrollment, I stand in full support of the recommendation of Mayor Kinney to continue to fund dual enrollment, to essentially give Philadelphia's best students the opportunity to walk in the path of possibilities and ultimately blaze the trail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Asia Madman. I apologize I didn't formally prepare anything, but I do want to just say that community college has been the single best opportunity for me. I'm an import to the city. I'm from Baltimore. And I ended up here. I'm a single mom of 3. I ended up here as a flight risk because of domestic violence. And once I got to the city, I just immediately enrolled. And it's really providing me with all the resources that I need, starting with food insecurity. And I was able to take the leadership opportunity in helping the college. I would say, like, cultivate that idea, because this is our first year having the greenhouse, and I hope that next year we can do the raised beds. But we were able to do 2 giveaways this academic school year. We provided organic fruits and vegetables to families in need, and we've also the Student Government Association that I was a part of was giving away free goodies and fruits to students every Friday. That also helped with food insecurities at the college. And it's been also refreshing to see that there's other people just like me. Like, I've been homeless 3 times and single mom struggling, trying to get her education. I was able to reach out and help those just like me, and also develop as a leader that I didn't think I could do. And it's really because the Community College of Philadelphia has those people in place that want to help you and want to groom you and believe in you. And I never had that before. So I just want to say thank you, Community College, and thank you, Dr. Generals, for allowing me to come. I think that what they're doing as far as food insecurities in the greenhouse and wanting to start a community garden has been one of the best opportunities for not just myself, but for everyone to learn about self-efficiency and urban farming just in general. That's
Good, thank you.
So I just want to say that these are phenomenal examples of the work and the outcome of Community College of Philadelphia, but I want to remind you that for every student that you have here, there's probably 10 that don't make it. They either give up. The issues that you heard coming from some of these students was overwhelming, and I think the only way that we can have the kind of impact that will produce writ large across the city of Philadelphia is through the continued funding. And also, we've had this conversation about the statutorial obligation that the local sponsor has, which is a third of the college's budget. And I know there's some conversations about that. I'd like to encourage the City Council to continue to have that conversation because the dollars that go to community college, the impact is exponential. So we're here today to ask for the $35.4 million ask. I believe you have copies of our total budget request, and I've mentioned some of the specific strategies that we hope to be able to employ this year, and I'm ready to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. One, I want clarity. The mayor has proposed an additional 1.35. Did you ask for an additional $3 million? Did I hear you correctly?
Our original ask was for $3 million, and his initial.
You changed your mind? You said your original ask was $3 million?
The budget request that we made to the city, that we sent to the mayor's office, and that we also, I believe, sent to city council members was for $3 million increase. The mayor returned a budget of 1.3, I believe it was.
1.3?
2 or 3? Yeah, 1.3. And we're asking that the full $3 million be provided into our budget.
Okay, I just want to get clarity on what your ask is today. Out of that, assuming you get the 135, I mean, I know you asked for 3, but and you may not be able to answer this at this moment, what would be the focus of the 135, the additional dollars? Would it be to fund any new programs, or this is sustaining?
It will be to sustain. It will be to keep the tuition down. We've not raised tuition, and we've made a commitment to try to not raise tuition as much as possible. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've probably heard we just settled a contract, so we have increases in that regard.
I heard a little bit about it. Yeah.
So pretty much that would be it. At the risk of realigning, which we always look to see what's effective, what's impactful, and what's not. It would be pretty much a steady state budget.
Okay. So, and you talked about being able to keep student costs down. In terms of your prior testimony, you talked about the importance of that, which is obvious. Can you tell me what's the largest cost driver for CCP? Is it the personnel issue? Is it the ability to keep student costs down?
Personnel is upwards of 80.
So it's comparable.
Personnel is 87%
pretty much
of the
comparable
budget.
to the city of Philadelphia and most other. All right. So, but to be able to maintain a fair contract, because we want to make sure that all of our workers have a reasonable contract, would you say that money is well invested?
I do, absolutely.
All right. Okay. In terms of other What's your state contribution?
Good question. Right now, they are about 21% of our budget. Do you know what the amount is? 31.8, but this year, at this point, we have not received anything from the state, any increase from the state.
Is it proposed, or is it
It's the governor's proposed.
reduction?
It's the governor's proposed budget right now. At this moment, it's zero increase for community colleges across the state.
Is there a comparable effort on the state level to increase funding, or what are you doing?
Well, they're negotiating. I've gone around to the Philadelphia delegation, and they're all in support of increasing funding. Governor, we've spoke to the governor directly. He is a workforce development governor, and while he has grant dollars, most of that is competitive, and it's not very much. And I think we try to impress upon him that when you're talking about workforce development, you're talking about our operating dollars, because we have folks specifically in those areas. All of our health sciences programs are workforce development type programs.
Right.
Certainly students, across the board need a solid liberal arts education, so that's workforce related. So the community colleges versus what was offered to the four-year publics, which received $8 million increase, I think are an integral component to any effort towards workforce development. And, we've actually let him, he's probably not speaking to any of us right now, but we've let him know that workforce development is our sweet spot, and any conversation about workforce development really needs to start with the community colleges.
So that's a conversation with the state, because, the simple reality is, we just did this document. I don't always do this, everybody. I have this shameless plug for our narrowing the gap. I'm so transparent when it comes to this. Our narrowing the gap, another shameless plug, because the simple reality is, we're at 26% poverty, city of Philadelphia. I just talked to a reporter from Washington, and just this continued effort. And one of the things that it references is the ability to deal with the skills gap, because I, like you, genuinely believe that that's our most significant challenge. We may not necessarily like the person in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the current resident, but the economy is producing jobs. I think it's a continuation of the prior residents' programs, but the reality is that there are jobs being created in the city, not necessarily at the pace as the national economy, but our challenge continues to be that those jobs that are being created here, the folks that live here don't have the skill sets to take those. And then when we look at community college, I know myself and my colleagues, we talk about the short-term strategies, because a lot of folks you talk to them say, well, you talk to some of these young folks out on the corner, you go to college for 4 years, and they kind of look at you like, I got responsibilities, I have, I'm raising a child, I got to work, I don't really have the wherewithal to do that. But if you say, well, if you go to an 8-month program to learn something, some career technical educational opportunities similar to what we're doing in the public schools, solar installation, all those growth industry jobs, you kind of get people's attention.
Right.
So talk to me about the focus of your skills gap strategies in somewhat specific terms. The city of Philadelphia, and I believe that probably the most significant sustained growth industry is going to be in healthcare and education. The complexes that we have across the city, Penn, Drexel, Temple, they will continue to create job opportunities, and a lot of those, and probably most of those, are somewhat entry level. What's your game plan as it relates to growth industries, and what do you see your best opportunities?
Our immediate game plan, very specifically, is to expand our West Philadelphia campus. As you know, we have our auto tech is at West Philadelphia.
That's
48th and
Walnut,
Market.
Chestnut Street?
48th and Market.
48th Market, okay.
Right. So we have a very successful auto technology program, and our plan is to move 10,000 square feet footage up to 70,000 square feet. We currently have about 13 see, we got $10 million from the capital appropriation dollars from the community college sector, and we've received 2 rounds of RACB. We're hoping for another round of RACB. And we're also looking at new market taxes and, putting together an entire package to provide a career, technical, and advanced technology center that will not only house our growing auto tech program, but also will allow us to move our existing and expand our existing advanced manufacturing, robotics, welding, which right now is being held at the Benjamin Franklin High School. We're leasing space from there. It's small, and it's small because we can't expand. We can only use it during the evening and during the weekend. So we plan to go in full-fledged in this area of career and advanced technology. So auto tech, it's not going to be just moving it from one model and moving it into a new facility. As you know, the auto technology field has morphed into something that's completely much more technologically advanced than it's in its current form. So whether it's autonomous vehicles or alternative fuels, cars and trucks are basically computers on wheels. And so we have to not only expand the scope of what we're doing, but expand the level. And for that particular program is very successful in terms of the students that are able to get jobs. Our biggest challenge is keeping them in the program because they tend to get jobs before they even graduate. That's how skilled up they are. So that, in conjunction with the advanced technology and all of this, the suite of technical skills, whether it's programmable logical controls, CNC, welding. I know welding seems like a low-skilled opportunity, but it really is a high-skill program. Coding, we're looking to expand our offerings in the computer technologies fields. Robotics, computer processing, all of that will be housed in this 70,000 square foot facility. Right now, we have a burgeoning program in career and technical. We've worked with PGW, and I believe we've had 2 cohorts of students. Is that correct? 3 cohorts of students. 90% of them received jobs after, how long was the training? How long was the training? 120 hours. It's a certificate. They received jobs right away. SEPTA was just here. They're anxious for us to move into diesel technology. We can't do diesel technology now because we don't have the bays and the facility to do this. This facility will allow us to do that. So the goal is to to augment and to expand in this field of short-term, intermediate-term, stackable credentials. We don't want to lock students into a 6-week program and then they can never get promoted. So all of our programs are really in some way designed to enable them to create a stackable pathway into a degree should they want to do that. So we have a strategic plan. One of the pillars of that strategic plan is workforce and economic innovation. And speaking to Carol, that was a position, that was an entire division that was created for that purpose.
Okay.
I know, Councilman President, that you've always said that in order to create workforce, it's got to be employer-driven to a great extent.
Right.
You got to know what the employers are. So I think I would just like to add to what Dr. Generals is saying is that when you think about what we're doing in automotive and these other sectors, that we've gone to the employers, GM, Toyota, people who need the technical people for the future, and said, what do you need? Join us, be a partner with us to be able to do that. And I think that's, you can go out here and do something on your own, but you really need to understand what the employers want, what the market wants in order to produce the people to do it. So I just wanted you to be aware of that's a strong emphasis.
And if I just add one more piece, because it's related to the dual enrollment. We are really structuring our dual enrollment efforts along this concept of pathways. So they're not just taking courses, they're taking courses that lead ultimately to some career pathway.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll come back on the next round. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to start by apologizing to you. I have a meeting in my office that's been waiting since 1, and it's about a very important bill we're working on, so I'm going to have to go. I just wanted to say thank you, Dr. Generals, to all the administrators, to the professors, the staff, and the gritty CCP students that we heard from today. It really does our hearts well to know that despite all of the challenges that we are facing in the city of Philadelphia, you are the example of hope coming forward. And I really did just want to note that for the record. Also want to say to you, Dr. Generals, thank you for including a copy of this New York Times, if your team is responsible for it, this article that really summarizes for us. We are familiar with the college admissions scandal regarding like sort of the best and the brightest in our nation, but very rarely do we talk about the challenge and or lack of support that our community colleges are given across the nation. The only one question that I do want to, well, two that I want to get on the record. Well, one is not a question. Thank you for Power Up. Thank you for your team.
Thank you.
The data, the results that eConsult provided to us during the hearing, it talked about the return on the investment that the city of Philadelphia gets from the program. Your team is making sure that it's hit every zip code in the city of Philadelphia, so there's no neighborhood that can say it hasn't been benefiting from it, and so that's your team. The one question that I do have is that you talk about stackable credentials in your testimony, and you mentioned that consistently. Describe for the listening public, what does a stackable credential mean?
So I guess a good example would be the program we have for early childhood providers with 1199. They start in a certificate program. Those certificates, how long is that program? 6 months? See, the 1199, yeah. 120 hours. Upon completion of that program, they will receive 18 college credits, which they can then use.
No, I'm sorry, go back. How long did you say the program
It's
takes?
120 hours.
Okay.
What is that in weeks? What is that in weeks?
I think it's probably 3 months.
Yeah, it's about 3 months. Right.
In 3
So they can
months,
go
18
directly to
college
work
credits?
because it gives them the
Wow.
CDA, I think is the certificate. But then they can parlay that into 18 college credits.
Okay, so
And so that's an example of a stackable credential.
that's okay. I was wondering because it's not a term that we that I have been accustomed to hearing. So that would mean in our efforts to increase the number of 3- and 4-year-olds in the city of Philadelphia who are getting access to pre-K through PHL pre-K, and we're trying to support our home-based providers
Right.
to ensure that they're just not quote unquote providing babysitting services, but they're actually getting access to the training
Right.
needed to make sure that they're offering quality, and it gives them the opportunity to get the credentials so that they can compete to increase the number of stars. Would you say that that's an accurate overview?
I believe that is accurate. It helps the providers, but it also helps the students because, we all know that early childhood providers are low-paid employees, and we really want to put them on a trajectory where they can go into, early childhood education, where they can be one of the leaders of the providers, and or go into teachers' education. So it is a pathway into teachers' education. With the associate's degree from us, they can then go to Temple or somewhere and get a teacher's ed degree.
Appreciate that. I also just wanted to note for the record, when we talk about sort of closing the gap between the haves and the have-nots and access to a higher education, I'm a graduate of Lincoln University, and for the record, it is the first historically granting degree institution of higher learning in the nation for all the Chaneyeites who are here today. But I just want to note, Dr. Generals, that when I went to Lincoln during my freshman year, I needed to take a remedial English course, and so that because I was a first-generation college graduate in my family, so that I didn't have to pay the cost for the course at Lincoln University, I came home and I took my English class at community, so that when I went back, I didn't have to take any, and it actually helped to decrease the amount of time. I remember some of my friends having to do it, and here I'm telling my age. I don't even know, do you still have winter breaks?
We do.
So that was a strategy, so you wouldn't interfere with getting your 4-year degree.
Right.
Try to come when you come home for the winter break to take the course then, so that you could be on track. Is that something that still happens, or am I a dinosaur?
No, you're absolutely right. We have a 4-week winter session where visiting students can come in and take courses, and that's, we actually rely on that, and we market in their student newspapers to try to get them. And we also have Three summer sessions or two? Huh? Three. Yeah, we have 3 summer sessions, which provide students the opportunity to take courses here as a visiting student, and then they'll return.
Okay.
We hope they stay. We try to encourage them to stay, but if they don't,
Well,
most of them they're coming for a purpose.
It really becomes a cost savings, really, for those who are in 4-year institutions, right?
Absolutely, yep.
If they have access to that. Finally, I just want to note for the record, I'm also a graduate of the Parkway program, high school. Shout out to Parkway Center City Middle College. It has yielded success rate of 100%, with the original 121 ninth graders retained. Thank you, CCP, to the professors who make it work, and they provide great educational opportunities for our kids and everybody who's a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Kim.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon. So first of all, I want to acknowledge your students. They were fantastic, inspiring, and every bit of why we believe in CCP here, but in community colleges in general, because they're an important place for many of our young students to land, and a place for opportunity, especially in really difficult economic times. People need opportunity, and it's so inspiring to be able to hear your stories. So thank you for spending time with us today and telling those to us. They were really amazing. So could you just quickly, I know you mentioned that, that statutorily both the state and the city are obligated to a certain percentage. So you're saying now that the state is at 21%? Giving, and where is the city in terms of percentage?
19%.
19. And then is the rest made up by student tuition?
Students, yep.
Okay, so you're at 60% student tuition?
Yes,
your
that's correct.
60% of your revenue relies solely on student tuition?
That's correct.
Do you have any other revenue sources?
Well, workforce development area generates about $1 million foundation.
No.
Well, that's
Something in
private
terms of
dollars. That doesn't
significant
go to operating.
amounts?
No, just
Okay.
small amounts.
Okay.
Concessions, stands, things like that.
That's
yeah.
helpful to know. And, one of the things that I know, and I appreciate, especially with some of the people in the audience, was the ability to work through, a contract, because we believe very strongly in our professors. I think that they are what makes CCP viable and makes it compelling to be able to go, to have professors who will help young students, especially as they're transitioning from school systems into 4-year institutions or into workforce training. Either way, our professors matter a lot. Post-contract, could you talk a little bit about how you're working with your faculty to ensure that they have manageable workloads, that they're working on keeping class sizes small and personal, which I think is what makes CCP so appealing. I know that universities, increasingly, especially at our local and community universities, that there's an emphasis for, high-risk youth in particular, to make sure that smaller class sizes are a priority. That's a priority both within our school district. We're trying to lower class sizes, not keep them at their maximum. But could you talk a little bit about, as we move past the contract, how you're managing the workload for your faculty so that they can best serve students?
So I think, first of all, there in terms of workload and class size, both at this point are pretty much driven by the contract. So class sizes are laid out. The maximum class sizes are in the contract. I think the workload that existing faculty can choose from are basically based on what they believe they're capable of handling. I think that we have a governance system in place that we continue to work through. We don't always agree, but we try to work through, some of the more challenging aspects of it. And I think we've, for the most part of my 5 years, have been able to do that with some degree of collegiality, and I think we'll continue to do that. Personally, while I'm the president, I strongly believe in the virtues of good academic governance as well as academic structures. Community colleges, you're absolutely right. I went to Rutgers University. My first psych course had 300 students. I never had a chance to speak to the professor, so I know the value of not just small class sizes, but the surrounding support in terms of counselors, advising, and tutoring that enable them to be successful in those classes. So, it's a dynamic phenomena that we continue to monitor. We'll continue to assess. Assessment is a big part of what we do. What's working, what's not working. Having conversations between, the vice presidents, the deans, and the faculty. Amongst the faculty really need to drive those conversations. And if things come about that there's evidence that it's not working, we certainly will look at it and make the necessary changes.
I appreciate that, and again, I think that key part of the dialogue with the staff and having the the ongoing reviews as we work through some of the post-contract stuff. I wanted to ask a little bit about that the school district of Philadelphia, especially for the students and their families at CCP, is often the most affordable and most accessible opportunities for them post-graduation. Do you know how many, what percentage of school district graduates either go to CCP, or what percentage of your student body, and I would separate them into full-time and part-time, are school district graduates? Do you track Philadelphia School District in particular?
I don't have that number unless you know it off the top of your head. I know every year about 2,000 students from the district come to and they're part of our entry class is about 4,000, close to 4,000, and about half of those students are either one semester removed from high school or immediately out of high school, so about 2,000. I would say, it's tough to say because we have so many adult students. Some of them, like Asia, you didn't go to high school here, did you? No. Yeah, see, so it's kind of tough to get a fixed number. We do have the number, but I don't have it, and I don't want to guess off the top of my head.
No, that's okay. We could follow up with you. I mean, I'm interested in tracking school district outcomes and then seeing, obviously, how CCP can be a partner in helping young people make that bridge. Sometimes students who are not as successful in the school district can find
we see it all the time.
greater success, right, in a smaller, intensive setting, right, exactly. And do you feel like there's been a lot of data sharing? I mean, I know that you may not have it offhand, but similarly, has there been a lot of collaboration between the school district and CCP to support students, to give you background and data to do some back and forth? And how does that actually
I consider
function?
That one of the most important victories. We arranged to be able to have students have their high school records, grades, sent to the college. One of my goals is to reduce the amount of testing that occurs and to make it more effective. I don't believe that I don't think it's an accurate approach or the best approach to have a student come in on one day, take an assessment test, and on the basis of that test, we completely ignore what they've done the previous 12 years. So we've created a system whereby the school district is forwarding the students' transcripts to us, and we're making decisions about placement based on those transcripts in conjunction with the AccuPlacer, which is the test we use. So that was pretty huge because of FERPA rules, and there was a lot of, I think it took us about 2 years to actually get that done, but that was done. Dr. Height and I meet on a regular basis. The middle college was as a result of that. We have a number of different types of dual enrollment programs throughout the district. I think we're both fairly well committed to this concept of a K16 model as opposed to
That's
K12.
That's more of what I was looking for,
Right.
like a broader, big picture thing. I'm sure that there are innumerable number of individual programs
Right.
that are kind of going on between the two, but I'm interested in whether that K-16 model is in play and how you engage with the school district.
It would be a stretch to say it's in play, but
Okay.
it's the goal.
Okay.
It
That's
certainly
helpful
is
to
where
know.
we want to be.
And then with 60% of your funding relying on student tuition, are you, like, we don't get your budget, so I don't get a full sense of how your budget is projected, but are you, as you look in the next 2 to 3 years, are you projecting tuition increases at CCP?
I think it's inevitable. We can't continue to not raise tuition. I know there's a lot of real talk about this third. There's also a lot of real talk about free tuition for community colleges,
Right.
college students. In a lot of states, I don't know what the exact number is, but there are, a sizable amount, significant number of states where tuition for community college students is free.
It should
So I think it's inevitable that something needs to be done about the funding, because just the basic expenses are outpacing the revenue that's being generated. And I think if you want to scale up the impact that you're having, if we go to this K16 model, then you're talking about a lot more students coming to the college. That means a lot more faculty, a lot more quality equipment and programs and technologies and things of that sort. If that's the ultimate goal, then I think our budget right now is about $136 million. I think you're probably talking twice that if the goal is to really have a state-of-the-art, and that's not to say we're not state-of-the-art, but the future for the impact that community colleges have. And I will say that, we are coming into our own. I mean, the community colleges as a sector are a little bit more than 50 years old. So, there's still this, it's the last choice, it's the last chance. And we are slowly starting to change that narrative. Certainly costs that four-year institutions are, with the
I hear
student
that
debt.
it's more of a first choice.
Right.
For
Well,
a lot of our
and that's the
students,
point.
it's the first place that they land when they think about opportunity for themselves post-graduation
Right.
and the chance to go to a university, college degree setting. They're looking at CCP first
That's
because
right.
it's affordable, because they have a shot at maybe some of the
Right.
free tuition programs, and then they're looking at other options
Right.
after that. But it would help to know. So there's no planned tuition increase for FY20, is that right?
No, not for
Okay.
not this year, probably not next year, but at some point in the next 5 years, we'll certainly have to look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Council President, thank you very much, and Dr. Generals, thank you for being here, and thank you for leading community college, because I believe it's a great asset and a great tool for the city of Philadelphia. But there's some things that concern me, and if I can, let me ask you about them and clear the air, please. Prior to the new contract, CCP classes were already significantly higher than comparable institutions, and the faculty at CCP were already serving more students than their colleagues at area community college. Are you worried that students at CCP are going to receive an inferior education because of the recent workload increase under the new contract?
Absolutely not. And, I would, if given a chance, would contest those numbers, but absolutely not.
Okay. Well, you can
I
write
don't
back to me.
have the data.
I mean, you don't have to do it right this second.
Right.
I mean,
Well, certainly, we can.
I mean, if you think that I'm incorrect on the numbers,
I do.
please, a written
Absolutely.
statement maybe to myself and other council members, I think
Absolutely.
would be helpful. The salaries of the top 1% of the employees, that means the administration is, and it's, I think about 17 administrators, is over $3.8 million, without even including other compensation, bonuses, wages, health care, retirement benefits. That's double the annual budget of the Philadelphia Library. During negotiations, you made much of the fact that the faculty and staff would need to sacrifice for the long-term fiscal health of the college. And that does that include and apply to the top-level administrators? One, would you consider a moratorium on raises for the top 1% of the earners of CCP? Or would you consider perhaps redistributing that money to students through scholarship?
The implication that somewhere along the line, or the statement that somewhere along the line, I said that the faculty and staff alone had to make the sacrifices is completely wrong. I said that given the realities, the financial realities, that we needed to make changes. Some of it had to do with finances, some of it had to do with workload, some of it had to do with quality of education. I didn't come here to renegotiate that contract at this point, and I think the basic principle of fairness across the board is something that I absolutely support. I think the top administrators are paid comparable to what those positions bear in the market, and that's what I would say.
Okay. Appreciate that. Would you adopt changes that are in line with other national community college efforts, the movement that is largely really supported by Bill Gates and some other philanthropists? A major criticism of this movement is that it fails to advance part-time students, which is something that I'm very concerned about because a lot of people have to work, and this is an opportunity to get ahead, to get some increased knowledge. I'm very much in favor of getting any bit of knowledge you can. Another criticism is that it is a top-down instead of faculty-led reform, that these were major concerns expressed by your faculty, which were nearly led them to strike. How do you intend to address those concerns?
I don't know if I understood the question. I really didn't hear the full.
Well, it seems like part-time students are kind of left out and are not being.
Part-time students receive the same educational experience and support services and cost as full-time students. We have reformed our basic approach by implementing what's referred to as a guided pathways. And yes, the emphasis on that is full-time, but it doesn't exclude part-timers. Part-timers, the emphasis is really on the career trajectory that you're pursuing and not whether or not you're full-time or part-time. So we've, part of the reason why we've, in the last 3 years, increased the number of advisors was so that we can provide better services to both part-time as well as full-time students. So part-time students are in the same classrooms as full-time students. They have the same opportunities as part-time students. They probably have more opportunities because they're working and they're more, they're juggling a lot of other things along the way. But I don't know where this idea that part-time students are not getting the services that full-time students are getting.
Let me ask you this, what is the difference between what a part-time student pays per credit and a full-time?
There is no difference.
There's no difference
There
at
is
all?
no difference. They pay less. They pay for 2 classes instead of 4 or 5 classes. There is no difference in the cost.
Part-time students pay less?
If they take less courses, you pay by the class.
Yeah, no, I understand, but per credit, doesn't the price per credit go up?
No, it's the same.
It's the same price?
It's the same.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Their bill is less because they take less courses.
I understand that, but they're going to class less, but sometimes
No, they're going to class the same. If they're taking a Composition 1 course as a full-time student, they pay a course.
For that course?
For that course, and if they're a part-time student, they pay the same course.
But instead of carrying 3 courses, they might only be carrying 1 or 2.
They could be carrying 1 or 2, right?
Yes.
Many students take a part-time load because that's all they can afford.
I understand.
But they don't pay less or more for that course. And they don't get less services. They don't go to the financial aid office and say, I'm a part-time student, and they don't get service. So they don't go to the tutoring lab and say, I'm part-time, so they can't be served. It just doesn't work that way.
They're getting the same level of service, and the price per
It's the same.
credit is the same.
It's the same. In fact, if you do the economics, now that I'm thinking about it, they're actually probably getting more because they're paying less. So they can go to the tutoring labs or the library in more hours than a full-time person could.
Okay.
Or the same amount of hours, I should say.
You've also stated a number of times that you've only raised tuition once since arriving at the college. Mr. Jeremiah White has been quoted as saying that it does not increase at all. In fact, in the last 3 years, you've raised the cost of attendance twice. You've raised tuition once by 3%, and you raised fees once by 2%, which is a second tuition type hike. Can you comment on these discrepancies between the public claims and what I just said?
We've raised tuition and fees once since I've been there. I don't know what you mean by I raised attendance. We've raised tuition and fees once. We raised fees, which are a lot less than tuition, and fees are...
Well, it was the cost of attendance, the fact that you could go.
No, fees are connected to the services students get. So there's a technology fee, there's student activity fees. So we did raise that by, I don't even remember what it was, but it was a couple of dollars. And then the next year, we did raise tuition by 3%, and that's the only increase. Attendance has been flat to negative, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. But attendance, I'd like more attendance. But typically when the economy is good, community college attendance goes down, enrollment goes down.
Because it is really a place of kind of, in a way, a last resort. Or
It has an inverse relationship.
But that's what makes it
And especially
powerful.
with the part-timers. If the part-timers have an opportunity to increase their work hours, many of them are going to do that rather than go to school. That's
Well,
just the...
I think the fact that you exist is very, very important, and the fact that part-timers can easily go, and what you have stated here, that part-timers, the tuition price is exactly the same.
It's exactly the same.
It's very fair in that regard. Dr. Generals, thank you. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Don.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just have some basic questions. Does community college, first of all, I want to commend you, Dr. Generales, and your staff and the teachers and the students. It seems like it's going really well, which is great. Do we have a co-op? I see you have apprenticeship programs, but you know how Drexel has a co-op program? We don't have a co-op program
No,
at community.
we do not.
Do you think it's something that would be worthwhile?
I think it will. I think it fits nicely into this whole career development, workforce development idea, because we want to prepare students. We have internships. We have what you might consider externships, but we don't have cooperative education. Certainly not in the model that Drexel offers.
I think it would also help the students get into their first job if they were on a co-op program with a business or whatever, and they got the chance to see how they work, that they would hire them when they graduate.
So when, I say part of the budget request is to advance our workforce development initiatives, that's precisely the type of thing we hope to do, through our, expanding our internships, expanding our, apprenticeships. Now there's pre-apprenticeships. We did just receive grant dollars for apprenticeships, but we need to expand that considerably, and that's what those dollars would support.
And I'm going to give an example. Cristo Rey High School, which is a, private high school. It gets no city, state, or federal money. It's right now at 5200 North Broad, moving to 17th and Allegheny. Roughly 375 students, 9th to 12th grade. Roughly, the average income has to be below $35,000 for a family of 4. I think 60% have no dads. I think 10 to 20% have no moms or dads. This is from very, very challenged families. Yet, companies support the program. And the company pays $35,000 and has 4 kids who work in their office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, alternate on Fridays. Yet, this school, with the work experience, and I'm a supporter of Cristo Rey, I have kids who come to me and say, I've never been in an elevator, or I've never been to a restaurant. It's the exposure that's invaluable. It's invaluable. So these kids who are now working, they graduate, high school graduation, 92%. Over 90% go on to college, which tells me that, that's working. That relationship between business and the kids is working really well. And the question is, how do we make that work for community college? So if you have a proposal to create a co-op program for community college, I would be 110% supportive of that program. So I just want to pass that along. Mm-hmm. Second piece I want to mention is, do you know Sylvester Mobley, Coded by Kids?
I'm sorry?
Do you know Sylvester Mobley?
No,
I'll tell you why I mentioned this. He has a company called Coded by Kids, and I think he's doing a great job. And he's going to be honored this week, actually. Right. And I've now supported, with other people, 25 high schools where we have 15 high school students in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade learning coding. And I say this because we have 375 high school students right now in coding programs that would be tremendous candidates for community college. So maybe after this we can connect you with Sylvester, and maybe we can help some of these kids get into great programs.
Absolutely, sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much, and come back to me on that co-op program, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. I think that concludes the questions at this moment. I want to thank you very much for your testimony, and thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're going to take a half an hour break at this time, and then we will continue with the controller.